2020 was definitely a year to remember. Each month seemed like a whole different year in its entirety. Here are some big events that happened each month. January was a quick month that many took for granted. Australian bushfires continued from the month of December and burned 47 million acres of land, killing at least 34 people and displacing thousands from their homes. Just by the 9th day of January, the World Health Organization announced the deadly coronavirus had emerged in Wuhan, China. January 26th marked the day that would impact thousands of people across the globe. Kobe Bryant, along with his daughter Gianna and 7 other passengers, were killed due to a helicopter crash. Also in January, President Trump faced an impeachment trial on charges that he asked Ukraine to investigate, at the time former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. The trial was eventually acquitted in early February. On February 9th, Bong Joon-ho's film Parasite made history when it won the most awards at the Oscars awards ceremony and marked the first time a non-English language film won Best Picture. March is when things began to change for all people around the globe. Just 4 days into the month, countries all over began to limit who could travel and demanded their citizens to quarantine in order to prevent unnecessary exposures. By March 6th, the total number of coronavirus cases worldwide topped 100,000. Later that month, Tokyo, Japan would delay the 2020 Olympics to the summer of 2021. April was an eventful month as well. It was the month that thousands of people in Israel protested on the streets, calling out their prime minister and government's corruption. On April 29th, Germany announced that they were beginning human trials for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. By May 23rd, the number of deaths in America itself reached nearly 100,000. Just 2 days later, May 25th, George Floyd, an African-American man, lost his life due to having an officer's knee on his neck. The death of Mr. Floyd sparked protests across the world demanding justice while chanting Black Lives Matter. By May 30th, President Trump announced that he cut U.S. ties with the World Health Organization. On June 6th, Joe Biden was announced the Democratic candidate for 2020's presidential election. Later in June, locusts would swarm throughout parts of Delhi, India, causing one of the worst locust infestations that the country has seen in decades. During the month of July, people continued to adjust to changes that the pandemic brought as numbers continued to waver. In August of 2020, presidential candidate Joe Biden announced Kamala Harris as his running mate, while the U.S. surpassed 170,000 COVID-related deaths. Although numbers continued to rise, some American schools reopened while the United States Postal Service was under investigation for alleged delays on mail. In early September, people were still protesting against police brutality and victims who died due to it. Shortly after demonstrators entered their 100th consecutive days worth of protests, Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died of cancer. Later that month, the first presidential debate against Joe Biden and Donald Trump would be held. As October approaches, Nigerian scientists developed a cheaper and faster way to test children for COVID-19. In November, the United States 2020 presidential election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden began. During the last month of 2020, December, Joe Biden was confirmed as the president-elect from the Electoral College. The 2020 election broke many records, including being the year with the most mail-in ballots and having over 100 million ballots cast before Election Day and more than 155 million ballots cast overall. The year of 2020 had its ups and downs and showed a side of life that many of us have never encountered. 2021 will be a year to remember because it will be the year that everyone seeks further change and adaptations to our new world. Have an amazing year, guys, and make this year count.